Mismor David, Adonai roi lo echsar, binote sheyarbitzeni, al menuchot yenachaleni, nafshi shovev, yanacheni v'magle tzedek lema'an shemo. Gam ki helech begitz al mavet, lo irara ki ata imadi. Shiftecha umishantecha hema yenachamoni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged Sorirai di shanta vashamen roshi kosir vaya achto v'chesed yirdifuni koya mechayai v'shaveti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamin. I've chanted for you the words of our 23rd Psalm. As we face these difficult times, these moments when our hearts are breaking, and these moments when we are searching for comfort and for strength, we often turn to the psalmist, and so I ask you at this time to recite the words of the psalm with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the blueness of sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. And when we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. And so long as we live, she too will live. For she is now a part of us as we remember Victoria DuBosar. To her children, to Audrey, Tracy, Francine, and Ryan, and also to George and Gino and Tracy, to her brother Victor, who is here with us today, her sister Kathy, who was not able to join us, also to Britta and Joe and Paula, and to her grandchildren, Carrie, Brian, Sarah, Samuel, Aaron, Isabel, Sophie, Graham, and Spencer, and also to a great-grandchild, to Brady. To all of the members of the family and to dear and cherished friends who have gathered with us today, we've come here to remember, but also to celebrate the life of your beloved Vicky. Our sages, in their wisdom, have taught us the lesson that birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey, from childhood to maturity and from youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing. from foolishness to discretion, and then, perhaps, to wisdom. From weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back, we pray, to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. Vicky's journey of 80 years began in Ironton, Ohio, a small town located on the Ohio River, where Ohio and Kentucky and West Virginia all joined together. She was born in 1936 to Victor and Virginia Krell, who were known by family and friends simply as Babe and Ginny. Babe and Ginny had 5 children. Vicky was the eldest of all. Vicky, along with her siblings, Victor and Kathy, and also Janie and Susan of blessed memory, they grew up in this quaint little town, a town that Vicky would describe to her own children as the best place to grow up. As a youth, a teen, and even into her adult years, Vicky had an eye for beauty, and she was a talented artist who created many things, but especially beautiful watercolor paintings. Victor, I know most of the family calls you Tommy, but I know that you remembered your sister in very special and sweet ways, and I was grateful for the time we had to speak yesterday. Tommy, you said that I always depended on her. You shared that growing up, there were always some tough times, and as the two of your friendships grew from childhood into adulthood, you said that as tough times would come up, your sister was the one who'd always help you through those times. You shared with me that you loved her deeply. You loved her so much. And you noted that she was thoughtful, always with her phone calls, remembering birthdays and other occasions with special cards. She was kind-hearted. And Tommy, you said that she was always there and always eager to listen. As she grew up, she attended and then graduated from St. Joseph High School in Ironton. And at the tender age of 18, maybe 19 years young, Vicky married Jack Winters. Now, this marriage, while it did end in divorce, it brought forth Vicky's beautiful daughter and firstborn, Audrey. Audrey, when you were just 4 or 5 years old, you and your mom moved to Dayton. And in a way, you sort of grew up together because she was just 20 when she gave birth to you. The move to Dayton, we believe, occurred sometime in the early 60s, and after settling into your new home, your mom went out one night, maybe with some friends, to a supper club. And one evening, Audrey, while your mom was out at this club, she would tell you stories of how a gentleman sat near her, and he sent a drink to her table. The drink was a White Russian. And the man who sent that drink was Alan DuBosar. Vicky and Alan dated for about a year, and then they married in January of 1963. Alan was a professor of engineering at the University of Dayton. And Audrey, you also remembered that coming into this situation, this new family, that he was great. Great for you and great to you, and you began calling him Daddy almost immediately. And it didn't take long for this newly formed family to expand. Soon Tracy, and then Francine, and then Ryan, the 3 of you entered into the world, and the family portrait seemed so beautifully complete. Vicky was, for many years, a stay-at-home mom, and it is fair to say, and I have to say it now because not only did I hear this from her children, but also from her brother, she was a woman who, in a way, modeled herself after June Cleaver. She was proper. She didn't swear. She didn't drink, maybe except for that one white Russian. And one day, her son Ryan heard her refer to herself as Miss Vicky. There's a story that goes along with it, but for right now, we'll just say that Ryan overheard her saying Miss Vicky. And when Ryan told this to his siblings, it quickly turned into a little joke amongst the family. And so from time to time, they lovingly would refer to her as Miss Vicky. Due to Al's career, the family endured several moves, an amazing amount of moves, from Dayton to Cincinnati to Columbus, then to Indianapolis, then somewhere in Connecticut, Scranton, PA, then Dallas, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, and back to Dayton. Al, it turns out, was not just a workaholic and a hardworking man who moved where his career took him, but Al was also very outgoing. He was a man who really enjoyed people. And Vicky, while she enjoyed people and had great friends, she was described to me as a bit more introspective. She took time to see the beauty in the world. And that is probably why she enjoyed places like the Art Museum so much. But together, Vicky and Al, they shared family, they shared friends, they shared 27 years of marriage. Vicky went back into the workforce when her youngest, Ryan, was in junior high school. She would work mostly as an administrator of sorts, secretarial and bookkeeping, and then she became the administrative assistant for University Hospital's Employee Assistance Program, and she did this for almost 10 years. Al, as we know, died much too soon. He was diagnosed with cancer, and after battling this disease with his beloved Vicky at his side, he died at 52 years old. For Vicky, for their children, this was, of course, devastating. But as her children noted, their mom managed to find the strength to move forward. I think, as you said, Francine, she moved amazingly forward. She continued cultivating friendships. She continued working. And as you all shared with me, she was really born to be a mom. This was a person who liked to help and nurture and guide. She helped raise her siblings. She raised her children. She helped in the raising of her grandson, Aaron. She's a woman who is described to me with these attributes: strong, determined, organized, very controlled, disciplined, and a good and trusted friend. I had an opportunity to speak with one of her friends, Judy Warren. And Judy, are you here now? Judy, I want to thank you for the time we spent on the phone as well. Judy has come in from Troy, Pennsylvania, and Judy and Vicky have been friends for 45 years. Judy, you shared with me that this was a best friend, and that when the two of you met, the kids were babies. And you two moms would oftentimes take Vicky's car, you'd pile all of your combined children into one car. Keep in mind there were no car seats. Nobody put seat belts on. And it was an adventure with all these children in the car. It didn't matter where you were going. It could be someplace just like Burger King, but there were these adventures that you and your dear friend and all the kids would find themselves. You stayed friends throughout all these moves. 6, 8 different moves. You stayed close. Judy, you have sweet memories of a friend who you described to be more like a dear sister. And while the friendship was long distance, you managed to find time on the phone, hours and hours of time. You were friends in the worst of times, and of course in the best of times. Together, you celebrated at weddings. You held each other through funerals. There were reunions. And you mentioned to me that there was a time when you may have been going through a rough period yourself. And she called you and she said, "Judy, I don't care if it's 3 a.m. Call me. I'll be there for you." And that's how she was for you, Judy. And I have to imagine she was that way for so many friends, and certainly for her family. Not only was she a woman who collected dear friends, but she was a woman who had other collections. And if you've been to her house, perhaps you've seen the owls and the frogs and all the other little knickknacks, some that she may have gotten for herself, others that were given to her by friends. They all had a special meaning to her, from different places in the country, different places in the world. She enjoyed going with her friends to Playhouse Square. A couple of years ago, Vicki loved that she was able to go back to Ironton, back to St. Joseph High School for her 50th high school reunion. And this is a woman who was a vision of health. She was healthy. Before it was hip and the in thing to do, she was eating organic food. She walked. She stayed active. And so this past July, when Vicki was diagnosed with this disease, of course everyone was shocked. And this person who was so conscious about her health and what she ate, I think the family was equally as shocked when she was in rehab and had one thing that she was craving, and that was a Big Mac. Francine, you're the in-town child. And so there's that connection. There's that ability to be there in a moment's notice. And I'm sure that your mother never let that go unnoticed. And in mentioning you, I have to mention Gino as well, who was not just a son-in-law, but was the unpaid Mr. Fix-It. Anytime your mother-in-law needed something Gino fixed, repaired, you were always there. I know Audrey and Ryan, you spoke frequently and visited as often as you could. Also, when you were in town helping, sometimes, whether it was fixing something, re-wallpapering, whatever she needed, you were there for her. And Tracy and George, especially these past 2 weekends, the fact that you were there with her, by her side, meant so much to her as well. This was a woman who was a strong and elegant woman, and she was a proud grandmother. And for her grandchildren who are able to be with us today, never forget that she loved you and that she was endlessly proud of you and your accomplishments and the accomplishments that are yet to come. She loved your visits, she loved your phone calls, and you are truly what meant the world to her. We are taught that words which come from our heart enter directly to our heart. At this time, Fran, I know you have some words in your heart that you want to share as well.
I want to thank everyone that could be here today for us and those who have been involved in the journey along the way in these last few months. In terms of a mother, I think we won the lottery. I know that people say that all the time, but truly she gave me and my siblings the gift of strength, loyalty, the ability to build strong friendships, trying to teach us that going forward, we will only have each other. Today, I have said, with the loss of my mom, that I feel like an orphan. But now that I look around the room, that I know that we can move forward as a family with friendships and unbreakable bonds. I am forever grateful for these last few months with her and the ability to be with her till the end. I can tell you, those last hours with her, it only taught me how much she loved her grandchildren. And that when I saw her and I held her hand and I held on to her, she was at peace. So Mom, we love you. We will forever hold you in our hearts. I will teach my children about strength, dignity, loyalty. I will make sure they all continue their education, because Hugh education was everything. As you all know, my mom had many, many things and many, many memories. And as I thought back last night to what she would want me to say. There was just too much. But then I smiled and I laughed because, as you all know, my mom had the look. Right? And I've tried to master the look of my children, but they just laugh. The look for me, my siblings could withstand the look. Me, I confessed every sin in all of theirs. And as you all know, I kept my mom pretty busy, adventurous in my life here in Cleveland. They got to fly under the radar a lot. I kept her very busy. To Audrey, to Ryan, to Tracy, she loved you with all that she had. As we go forward, we will carry that in our hearts. And thank you all for coming.
We take a moment now as we think about Vicky and we ask God to accept her soul. If you're able to rise, I invite you to do so as I chant the words of the memorial prayer, El Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim, shochen במרומים, אמסמנוך הנכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת יקירנו, שהלכה לעולמה, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה. אנא בעל הרחמים אסתירך, בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, ותתרור בתררך את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום, על משכבה ונאמר Amen. O merciful God, who dwells on high, who is full of compassion, grant perfect rest beneath the shelter of your divine presence among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament. To our dear departed Victoria DuBosar, to Vicky, who has now gone to her eternal home, may her soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life, and grant that her memory always inspires us to noble and consecrated living. And to this we say, Amen. Friends, we turn now to the words of the Cottage, and we recite together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayichon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. We pray that God, who makes peace in a high place, send peace and comfort to you, the mourners, to Israel, and to all humankind. Amen. Immediately following our service here, the family will receive friends, visitors, at Vicky's residence. The address is 10027 Crow's Nest Cove in Aurora. That address again is 10027 Crow's Nest Cove in Aurora. Visitation will be today until 8 p.m., tomorrow from 2 until 5, and then in the evening from 7 until 9, and last on Friday from 1 until 5 in the afternoon. Anyone wishing to make a contribution in memory of Vicki, the family has suggested that you might consider the Seidman Cancer Center, care of University Hospitals. On behalf of her family, we thank you all for being here on this important and sad day.